Hello everyone, here we are at the Norisring. Are you ready to feel the roar? We certainly are, and we're so psyched to be here at the only city circuit in the DTM calendar. It's going to be so super exciting. Fact is, this track is so challenging. It's hard on the brakes, on the tires, it's difficult to overtake, but the man who's kind of celebrating a comeback, if I may say that, is Sheldon Van Der Linder, because finally you're back and you're in pole position. So what are you going to do that you're really going to hopefully take back a victory?
Yeah, it's time. It's been a long 3 weekends, I have to say, but there's no better feeling. We just spoke about it. The vibe here at Norisring is just different, and especially when you're on the front row. So I'm just enjoying that, first of all, and trying to enjoy the day step by step. It's going to be a long race, as you said, so there's so many things that can happen. We're not putting too much pressure on ourselves now. We did a little bit of the work. We're just going to drive as quick as we can in circles, and then hopefully on the strategy side, my guys on the pit wall can do the right thing as well.
It sounds so easy when you say it like that. And now also you're on this side of the track. You actually had the choice, because otherwise you would have been standing on the other side, but since we have a left corner, I guess it makes sense to be standing on this side.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the inside today and cover it for my life, basically, to turn one. There's no one coming past, so let's see.
All right, well, best of luck and hopefully see you podium later on.
Hopefully. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much. And now to the commentator.
Thank you so much, Verena, and thank you, Sheldon Van Der Linder, then, as we look at Nico Müller. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the DTM. Hashtag we love DTM. And here we are at the Norisring, and we look at Nico Müller, then the Team Rosberg driver, who is somewhat starting perhaps not as far forward as he would like to have been. He's P10 on the grid. So to put into context what Sheldon was saying, because he chose which side that he could start from. For the first time ever in qualifying for the DTM, we had to split into two groups, and basically the pole position driver was always going to be invited to choose which side of the track that he would like pole position to be, whether it was the left-hand side or the right-hand side, and quite clearly Sheldon decided what he did. He goes from P1, Thomas Preining, who was the best of the other group of drivers, he goes from P2 alongside. Then is Ayhan Guven, a brilliant qualifying. He goes from P3 ahead of Frank Pereira, another really good showing in qualifying. And then it's Ayhan Guven, as I mentioned, P4. René Rast goes from P5. Then it's Lucas Auer, Ricardo Feller, Arjun Maini, Dennis Olson, Nico Müller, Marina, Maxi Gertz, Felipe Fraga, Lawrence Vantor, Marco Wittmann, David Schumacher, Philipp Eng, Grenier, Schmidt, Moot, Engel, Zug, Van der Linder, Gore, Boog, Delado, and then Bortolotti and Stoltz starting from the back of the pack. I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. Let's go back down and see Verena once again on the grid.
And now here in P3 is Ayhan Guven, and we're very excited to have you here in the DTM. And the first race coming up, you starting in P3 as the first Turkish driver in the DTM. How psyched are you?
Yeah, I'm super excited. First Turkish driver in DTM, and yeah, P3 is quite a good position to start. Yeah, it's a long race. I'm really looking forward to learn, and hopefully we have a clean race, and yeah, let's see.
But it's going to be very tricky out there. I mean, it's such a tight racetrack.
Yeah, I think this is why I'm super proud to be in DTM, and this is why I'm excited. So this is part of the being in DTM. So for sure I take it. This is what I'm dreaming, what I'm working for. So I'm open to any kind of situation. For sure something can worse happen or good, but I'm here for this, and I try to enjoy.
And speaking of trying to enjoy, I mean, what do you say about the atmosphere here at the Norisring with the sunshine and all the spectators?
Yeah, mega. The spectators here, track is mega, cars are mega, lineup, drivers, all good. So really looking forward for it.
All right, you go for it.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck. Thank you very much. And now let's have a look if Thomas Preining is already at his car, because just a second ago he was not. So let's see if he's there, because Thomas Preining is starting in P2, which of course is also absolutely excellent. So we will see where he is, and he is not there yet. So for the moment, here's your commentator.
Thank you, Verena. Trying to hunt down Thomas Preining then, and really interesting to hear from Ayhan Guven. What a great job he did in qualifying. René Rast then, he's going from P5 on the grid for Team Abt. Of course, René, a race winner in DTM and champion, of course, in DTM as well. Do not rule him out of anything this afternoon. Almost anything and everything is possible here at the Norisring, the city circuit, the street circuit, made up effectively of two straights, two hairpins, and chicane in the middle. And it is merely 2.3 kilometers long. It is, as we see, Top job done by Arjan Guven, who gets his hands device and crash helmet on, ready to perform in front of all the spectators. And it was really good to hear Arjan really crediting the fact that every single driver is a top driver on the grid for DTM, and of course all the spectators here to really enjoy it as well. Frank Pereira did a really good job in qualifying as well. He's going from P3 on the grid for GRT in that Lamborghini. And there's Frank. Final stages of preparation ahead of the race then. Big smile and a thumbs up as well. So he very much looking forward to this race. And as I say, coming into the DTM this weekend and has really done very well, as indeed has Arjan Guven. So perhaps just ruffling up the established order somewhat. Thomas Preining then, who Verena is hunting down for KUS Team Bernhard, put the Porsche. He was quickest in his qualifying group with a 49.252, but that was bested by Kelvin van der Linder from the second group, who delivered a 49.236, literally just 2 100ths in it. That's how close it is in DTM, and Thomas Preining then lining up on P2. And quite clearly, we saw during qualifying, he certainly got the pace in the car. And of course, it is something of a pinch point as they all head in towards turn number 1. Kelvin van der Linder then, who we heard from for AB Sportsline, and he is back. And it'll be very interesting to see what he can do. Now, the local hero, and starting further back than perhaps he would like to, P14 for Marco Wittmann. Let's hear from him. He's with Verena.
And there we see it, Mega Marco, and I'm here with Marco Wittmann. So how good is it, Marco, to have all the support from your fans?
It's mega cool. It's just awesome to see so many fans, to have the support from the fans on the grandstand, obviously the green wall from Scheffler over there. It's just a mega feeling to race in front of the home crowd.
Starting from P14, it's your home crowd. So, I mean, what are you going to do? You got to go all the way forward. How are you going to do it?
Well, obviously, first of all, try to avoid any damages and crashes, especially lap 1, turn 1. And then we see, I mean, we all know the race can be very chaotic here at the Norisring. So we try our best, and let's see where we're going to end up.
All right, well, best of luck. I know you need to get dressed, put your helmet on. So best of luck, Marco. And now we're super excited to get racing here at the Norisring with this fantastic crowd and this phenomenal weather. So here's your commentator. Enjoy the race.
Thank you so much, Verena, all your hard work down there on the grid, bringing us all the insight. And Marco Wittmann making a very good point here. And that is, of course, that it's always very difficult and potentially chaotic here at the Norisring. He, of course, one of the local drivers, the most local, I would suggest. His hometown is Fürth, just maybe 10 kilometers away from Nuremberg. Another local driver is Maxi Goertz, of course, the current DTM champion. And Maxi then is going from P11 on the grid. So Maxi Goertz P11, Marco Wittmann going from P14. So the temperature is absolutely delightful. It is going to be a hot race. It's going to be a hard race on the tyres. It's going to be hard on the brakes as well. And we have seen just how easily it is to overheat the brakes. So all of those things are in the drivers' minds as they prepare themselves for this 55-minute plus 1 lap race in the DTM. And there you can see Sheldon Van Der Linder, who is another driver that has perhaps qualified not where we expected to see him. He's way down there, P22. Of course, Sheldon comes here off the back of a couple of victories. You can just see Norbert Haug in the background there, just taking a look as Sheldon Van Der Linder puts his hands device and crash helmet on, and he's ready to jump into the car. So there is the other local driver we were talking about, the current DTM champion, Maxi Goertz. Final instructions from his Winwood Racing engineer then, and he is just getting strapped up and ready to go. What a race we have in prospect, and the support for DTM 2022. What a phenomenal series it is. What phenomenal racing we've had thus far this season, and we expect the drama to continue here at the Norisring as well. So drivers getting strapped into the cars then ahead of this 55-minute plus 1 lap race to come. Spectators are eager and full of anticipation as well. The weather conditions so different to yesterday, where we had lots of rain. Today it is absolutely perfect. Nico Müller then, final stages of preparation for him. The scene is set for what should be an awesome race. We're live with the DTM here at the Norisring just outside Nuremberg, and we are looking forward to an exceptional race 1 of 2 this weekend. Hold on to your hats, everybody. And this is where we are, the city of Nuremberg, which is surrounded by the beautiful architect walls, and some of the buildings inside the city are truly awesome and breathtaking. Some 515,543 residents, and once a year, every year, for as long as I can remember, we've been able to enjoy the welcome that is afforded to us here at this city of Nuremberg. There are so many sights to see. The place is steeped in history, and when this street circuit comes alive, which is the Norisring, it is a wonderful place to be. From our helicopter, you can see how the place unfolds. 4 corners, fastest lap came from Sheldon Van Der Linder, 49.236. It's 2.162 kilometers then. And there you can see it is basically 2 straights with 2 hairpins and chicane in the middle. Air temperature is currently just hovering under 24 degrees. Track temperature significantly higher than that. Temperature inside the cars as the drivers get ready to race, reaching pitch. 40, 50, 60 degrees, I would have thought. And there is Einchen Guven. What a star he is for AlphaTauri AF Corsa. Having done such a good job in qualifying, he's going from P3 on the grid. But the man that bested everybody, of course, is Sheldon Van Der Linder for AB Sportsline. He goes from P1 on the grid. Sheldon is back and very much looking forward to this race. The number 24 car from the KUS team, Bernard, is Thomas Preining, of course, and the gap between Preining and Sheldon Van Der Linder as to who was going to be pole in the end was minuscule. Ricardo Feller is going from P7 on the grid. For the AB Sportsline team as well. Now, if he can replicate the pace that Sheldon Van Der Linder has, then that will be awesome. Just under 3 minutes before the race gets underway. So all the people that enjoyed the grid walk have made their way off the grid, and only those officials that are absolutely necessary to be on the grid are remaining on the grid. Yeah, fan yourself and try and keep some air. And young fans and maybe young motor racing stars of the future enjoying the DTM Race 1, which is 2.5 minutes away. 27 cars on the grid. I promised you I would give you news with regards to post-qualifying decisions that have been made. Marco Bortolotti didn't come to the weigh-in and therefore starts from the end of the grid, but he is in front of Luke Stoltz, and the reason Stoltz wasn't able to start in qualifying was due to technical problems, and he starts from the end of the grid, as you can see. So that is the latest information that we can bring you from the qualifying earlier on. And in terms of balance of performances, Audi have taken a weight of 10 kilos, Porsche 5 and Ferrari 5. That's the way it looks after the qualifying, and now we're under 2 minutes away from the race getting underway. I don't know about you, but here inside the commentary studio, we are so looking forward to this. 27 cars packed onto this really tiny circuit. It has all the hallmarks of being another classic from the DTM, and thousands and thousands of race fans very much looking forward to the race action. And there from our helicopter, and some nice artful shots from our camera team around the circuit as well. We throw so many cameras at this. Every single angle that we can bring you, we do bring you. And the AB Sportsline driver, Sheldon Van Der Linder, with final instructions from the engineer on bended knee on the side of Sheldon Van Der Linder's car. And now, 60 seconds, the countdown begins. The whistle sounds right on time, and the engines, of course, will start up, and 2 formation laps I'm being given to understand then ahead of the start of this race. Track temperature, I can just see, is now just topped 47 degrees. It's actually 47.1 degrees. That's one of the vantage points that we have from inside or on top of the main tribune then here at the Norisring. There's the man that is going from pole position, Sheldon Van Der Linder. He was the fastest driver in our qualifying session that was split into 2 with 2 groups of cars earlier on today. And this is it. We are merely 10 seconds away, as near as makes no difference, to the start of DTM Race 1 of 2 this weekend at the city circuit of the Norisring. That's the man charged with waving the green flag as the cars are released now, bang on time on their formation lap. So all the cars get away then, and they will use the formation lap. 2 formation laps, as I mentioned to you. You can see that at the top of the screen now. And they will use these formation laps to try and generate some temperature into the tires by using the brakes and also weaving from side to side. Now, over the course of the race, we expect the brakes to get really, really hot, and of course, it's going to be hard on the tires. This track surface is, they are public roads. There are many different levels of adhesion available to the drivers from the very different surfaces that you can see, parts of the roads that have been resurfaced. And of course, when you come out of the Scholleresses, right where we are right now, to the right-hand side, thank you, there you can see it. It goes from tarmac to these concrete pavings. Right next to the Armco, and all very, very different surfaces around the Norisring. And for all of this, it is such an exciting place to race. It's been a lot of years that I've been coming here to the Norisring, and I absolutely love the place. It is always this special festival atmosphere, particularly when the sun shines as bright as it does today. Sheldon Van Der Linder from Thomas Preining, Ayhan Guven. Then we see Frank Pereira and Lucas Aum, René Rast and Ricardo Feller and Arjun Maini and Dennis Olson, Nico Muller, Maxi Gertz, Felipe Fraga, Lawrence Vantor, Marco Wittmann, Philipp Eng, David Schumacher. Then it's Michael Grenier, Maro Engel, Esteban Moot, Clement Schmidt, Marius Zug, Sheldon Van Der Linder, Mirko Bortolotti, Maxi Buch, Lucas Stolz, Dev Gore and Alessandro Dallada. What a lineup of top talent in the DTM. Each and every one of the drivers able and capable of winning a race. Of course, a lot, as Sheldon Van Der Linder has said, a lot of the work was done in qualifying as one Mr. Norbert Haug watches on from the garages. There you can see Timo Bernhard as well looking on and into the AF Corsa garage and now into the ABT garage as well with Hans-Jürgen Abt to the very right-hand side of that picture and on board now with René Rast. So the conclusion of this formation lap. This is the second one. And it's going to be all eyes into turn number 1, the Grundig turn. Safety car peels off into the pit lane in just a few moments from now. Cars lined up side by side in grid formation, then ready to do battle in race 1. This is the DTM. And this is the DTM live from Norisring. We throw the lights to the top of the gantry as we get ready to rock and roll and race. DTM here at the Norisring. Already some drivers champing at the bit, trying to anticipate the lights as we go green. A good start from Sheldon Van Der Linder. He covered off that inside line pretty nicely. Frank Pereira is trying to have a go, and so too is Arjun Maini all the way around the outside. Arjun Maini then a big bold move right from the start, and Arjun Maini and Frank Pereira make contact, and Arjun Maini has got around, and then there is a stack and queue of cars that all get involved as something of a domino effect then. In the meantime, Sheldon Van Der Linder did exactly as he said he was going to do, and that was protect that inside line and make sure he was going to be P1 into the first turn, and that is what he's done, being followed by Thomas Preining. Then it's Ayhan Guven, who is P3. Then a battle going on between Lucas Aum and René Rast, who are arguing over that P4 position at the moment as they go side by side. The rest of the cars have been cleared, we think, or some of them have from turn number 1. No, they haven't. We get a safety car. So just as we complete the first lap, and René Rast, and there you can see the reason why. The Mercedes there, and so many bits of debris laying around the track. We had no alternative, and big damage for Marco Wittmann, the local star then. And as you can see, he was involved in that opening lap incident into turn number 1. And so many cars that did get involved in that. Sheldon Van Der Linder, we know, has come into the pits already. Safety car has been called for. And that means that there's Marco then trying to nurse that car. Promised you that Sheldon Van Der Linder had gone into the pit lane. That proves that we're absolutely correct. In he comes. Nico Muller is another driver in the pit lane as well. Now, this is Frank Pereira, who also was involved in that. A little bit of damage to the back end of that car. It was he and Arjun Maini, I think. That is the stricken Arjun Maini car then. And Arjun is out of the car. Of course, the integral safety of these cars is absolutely fantastic. But there you can see various parts of race car are distributed around the first turn here, which is Really, really unfortunate. It's not unusual, I have to say, here at the Norisring. So the turn 1 incident is under investigation as in comes the number 12 car as well of Dev Gore, and you can see smoke pouring off the Dev Gore car. It's nothing other than tyre rubbing against panel work, I'm sure. So Dev Gore is in, Sheldon Van Der Linder is in, Nico Muller is in, and also Marco Wittmann in as well.
Dave got zapped.
So there we have it. Marco Wittmann then, the engineers attending to that car. That is not going to be repairable in the matter of moments, I'm afraid to say. And there is the number 12 car also into the pit lane of Dev Gore. And look, they're having to work to even try and get Nico Muller out of the car. So Arjun Maini involved in that. Also Maxi Book as well. It is the Maxi Book car that is hugely damaged, and not the Arjun Maini car. So here we can see a replay then, and let's try it. Arjun Maini was on a real mission, as you could see, diving down the outside here as they very nearly went 4 abreast into turn number 1. Arjun Maini with absolutely brilliant pace, and Thomas Preining just too deep into the turn. That's where Arjun Maini gets turned around. And that's what confused me. I thought it was the Arjun Maini car that had got really, really stacked and damaged, but actually not so. That just got attacked by the Dev Gore car. And on board with Marco Wittmann here, who, unsighted, has absolutely nowhere to go. And then manages to get the car going again, but not before a huge amount of damage to the front of his car. This was what it looked like from being on board with Sheldon Van Der Linder right now. You can see Ian Changuven. And that's a sound you really kind of don't want to hear, as Sheldon Van Der Linder had no alternative but to really reshape the back end of Marco Wittmann's car because he had absolutely nowhere to go. Thomas Preining running deep then. And this is when Arjun got turned around then and front-ended by Nico Muller. Mirko Bortolotti, of course, trying to make a progress from the very, very back of the pack. He makes contact with a car there of Mauro Engel. And this is the car, I believe, that suffered the most damage. And it is the number 18 car of Maxi Book. And also David Schumacher involved in that as well. And this is Marco Wittmann trying to drive his 3 wheels on his wagon back to the pit lane. Then good work being done by the recovery crews here in terms of trying to remove all this stuff. And you can see a very disappointed Nico Muller and also a very disappointed Arjun Maini as well. So parked up then is 2 of the cars there that you can see into a position of safety now. So we've lost Sheldon Van Der Linder, Nico Muller, Arjun Maini, Marco Wittmann, Maxi Book and David Schumacher. All out of the race, regrettably. We continue to be taken around the track by the safety car with Kelvin Van Der Linder leading from Thomas Preining, and then it's Ian Changuven, and then Rennie Raston, Lucas Auer and Dennis Olson. So the safety car is coming in at the conclusion of this lap. Good work by everyone to get the track back into race order once again. So it'll be the responsibility of Kelvin Van Der Linder to back them all up then and control the pace of the restart when the safety car comes in. So Van Der Linder from Preining, from Guven, from Rast, from Auer, Olson, Grenier, Feller, Vantor and Maxi Gertz. So, of course, in DTM, it is a DTM formation restart that we see. So is this an opportunity for Thomas Preining then as he goes side by side and those two control the pace of the restart? It's something we love about the DTM. The 2 cars go side by side then for a restart rather than a single file in line. And it really, really adds to the drama and the excitement here. And, of course, it really adds to the opportunity potentially for René Rast and maybe even Ian Changuven as well. So it's like the race gets to start all over again. And here we go, following the safety car intervention then, as the cars approach the line, and we can go back to racing again. And sure enough, we do. Ricardo Feller was keen then to try and get to the outside to try and make a move. Kelvin Van Der Linder and Thomas Preining side by side. This time around, Thomas Preining has got the edge on Kelvin Van Der Linder. He closes the door on Kelvin Van Der Linder, and Thomas Preining goes into the lead of this race, and René Rast is trying to have a go to Kelvin Van Der Linder as well. So René Rast now on the outside, which becomes the inside and the perfect place for him to be at this stage. However, Kelvin Van Der Linder will have the inside line for the exit of the S's, so he's able to hold on to that P2 place. But the big news is that Thomas Preining did a really, really good job at the restart and has put himself into the lead of this race. So it is Thomas Preining from Kelvin Van Der Linder, from René Rast, and then the huge charging Dennis Olson now is P4. Ayenchan Guven losing out at the restart. He's dropped back to P5 now ahead of Ricardo Feller and Philipp Eng. And then it's Grenier Van Tor Auer occupying the top 10 places as we speak. So Thomas Preining now trying to stretch his legs a bit from Kelvin Van Der Linder as Dennis Olson is taking a look at René Rast. And that argument is going on over the P3 place at the moment. All the cars through the turn okay, thankfully, with no further damage. The sound of these cars as they make their way through the chicane here is simply awesome. Big moves coming early on in that restart then from some of the drivers, and the biggest move of them all coming in from Thomas Preining. And there we can see that is that's a nightmare, isn't it, with damage to that number 74 car of Felipe Fraga of the Red Bull AF Corsa team. He is in the pit lane. It looks like it's going to be a race retirement. Mirko Bortolotti then is chasing down Marius Zug. But Thomas Preining continuing to stretch his legs. It's 5.5 tenths between P1 and P2 at the moment. Kelvin Van Der Linder trying to stay within touch of Thomas Preining. And, of course, still a long way to go. 45 minutes plus one lap of this race still to come after the somewhat chaotic start, as lots and lots of drivers predicted. Here is Mirko Bortolotti then chasing down Lucas Stolz, who is running in P13. Now, bear in mind, Mirko Bortolotti was one of the big beneficiaries, if you will, from the collision right at the start of the race, and he's been able to really vault himself up the order into P14 at the moment. Thomas Preining leading from Kelvin Van Der Linder and René Rast. The top three remain the same. Then it is Dennis Olson and Ayenchan Guven. Oh, and a big move going on here as Maxi Goertz tries to continue his quest to go forward here. Local race for Maxi Goertz as well. In the pit lane for us now is Verena.
And I'm here with a very devastated Marco Wittmann. I mean, you were so ambitious in the beginning of the race, obviously, and then we were all predicting that it would be chaotic, but I guess there was just no chance, right? You just went straight into the traffic, no chance?
Yeah, for me there was no chance. Obviously, in front there was a traffic jam because some drivers somehow got together, kind of, and then I got all the push from behind, which forced me into this traffic jam. So yeah, it's a shame because obviously to have a DNF after the first lap at the home race with all the fan support, all the chef layer and the green wall, it's very frustrating. But yeah, I mean, I can't change it. Let's hope for a better race tomorrow.
And hopefully, even though the damage looks pretty bad, hopefully your mechanics will be able to fix the car for tomorrow.
They will definitely try hard, push hard, and then we see.
All right. Thank you very much, Marco. Back to you.
Well done, Verena, getting hold of Marco Wittmann. Hugely disappointed, of course, the local driver from Fürth, just down the road from Nuremberg, who's out of the race after just one completed lap. And as Marco was saying, he was a completely innocent bystander. He got pushed from the back. He was completely unsighted. There was nowhere he could go. And therefore, that means his race is over. Preining, Van Der Linder, Rast, Olson, the top four at the moment then, as the drivers have settled down somewhat and following the chaos right at the very start into turn number one, which is so often the case here at the Norisring. You can see that Thomas Preining now doing exactly as I predicted he would. He's stretched his legs still further. The gap between P1 and P2 now is just under a second. So really good driving from Thomas Preining then, who took his chances on the outside to make that overtake stick around the outside of Grundy. Very hard to do, but he was absolutely committed, and presumably he had complete confidence in the car at being able to deliver the grip that he needed at that point, and he made it stick. There is Ricardo Feller, who's being chased down by Philipp Eng now, and this is the fight that's going on for P6 in the race. So Ricardo Feller currently holds that P6 position. Philipp Eng is P7. So it's Audi versus BMW for this P6 place. And let's go back to Verena. She's working really hard and doing well this afternoon. Who have you got for us now, Verena?
So one of the other unlucky guys is Sheldon Van Der Linder. We lost 7 cars, one of them being you, Sheldon. So from your point of view, what happened? And I guess there was just no chance.
Yeah, I mean, I had an amazing start. I made up like 5 or 6 positions. I think I was 13th or 14th from 22nd. So, yeah, I mean, as you can see, the car's in pieces. That's never a good sign in the box so early. But, yeah, I was pretty much on the outside line. Marco was straight in front of me. And something happened at the front. I'm not quite sure what happened, but it was like a chain effect where everyone just stopped. And then, obviously, I was caught up in that nowhere to go, obviously, with Norisring being so tight. And yeah, it's just a bit annoying because I had such a good start and I could have had points for sure.
Absolutely, but hopefully your car will be okay by tomorrow.
Yeah, I hope so. The boys are already busy working on it, so that's good. But yeah, I hope the weekend changes a bit from now.
All right, crossing our fingers. Thank you, Sheldon. Back to you.
Having come from such a successful weekend, it's a bit of disappointment for Sheldon Van Der Linder. And as he says again, it was nothing other than the Diana Ross song, a chain reaction right at the very, very start of the race, that unfortunately involved a number of drivers and has seen a number of drivers taken out of this huge grid that we have for DTM here at the Norisring. So big, in fact, we had to set the qualifying into 2. And big damage there for the number 6 car, and also involved is Frank Pereira as well. So the number 6 car is De Linder. So De Linder is out. We're on board with Mirko Bortolotti. I think there was one other car involved in that as well. And now we can pick it up. It looks like it's Esteban Moot to me. So the number 10 car of the Valkenhurst Motorsport driver Esteban Moot involved. Let's see what happened here. Oh my goodness me, that was a big hit from behind. And then another little domino effect. Frank Pereira, who's just going about his business, who had absolutely no involvement in that, but the sheer speed with which Esteban Moot was tail-ended, well, of course, there was nothing he could do about it either. Doubtless, race control will take a look at that. A full course yellow is in operation now. And, of course, that is the opportunity for cars to dive into the pit lane and try and take advantage of the full course yellow. We have 40.5 minutes of the race remaining, and we lose some more cars from this DTM race, which is a great shame because it was shaping up to be very, very exciting with a number of moves going on. So in the pit lane, pit stop time 10 seconds for Maxi Gertz, who's on his way out. 8.6 for Lucas Auer, 7.5 for Lucas Stolz, 8.2 for Clemens Schmidt. So they are the first of the cars to come into the pit lane for their pit stop. And this full course yellow then, and Thomas Preining, I think, is coming in. I may have called that wrong, but it looked to me like Thomas Preining was coming into the pit lane as well. Presumably Kelvin Van Der Linder will stay out there. Sure enough, it looks like Kelvin Van Der Linder does stay out there with René Rast. If you painted the 2 cars together, they could not be closer, could they? Full course yellow means, of course, the speed is completely controlled. But René Rast will be hoping to be in a very, very strong position. So in comes Preining, Olson, Ironchan, Guven, and also Ricardo Feller too. And look at this, it's like an XXL Audi, isn't it? As they were, those 2 cars of Kelvin Van Der Linder and René Rast absolutely together in this full course yellow that's being run right now. My goodness me, Esteban Moot, he was just like a bowling ball, wasn't he, when he got hit? And Frank Pereira, who unfortunately was on the receiving end of him making contact, absolutely nothing that he could have done about it, to be honest. 8.6 second pit stop time for Dennis Olsen, 7.1 for the AlphaTauri AF Corsa team with Ironchan Guven. A very, very good pit stop time indeed. In fact, the fastest I think that we have seen thus far. So very, very good indeed. There is Philipp Eng, there is Maro Engel, and they're all under this full course yellow at the moment. Philipp Eng then in the number 25 car, and there you can see yet more debris that's having to be collected from this track. 38.5 minutes plus a lap still to go in this DTM race, and just when maybe I was being something of a cursed commentator by saying everything seems to have settled down nicely, and then we see that situation, and I feel sure that it was
yellow on the outside, and we are still on full course yellow. It means pit speed in 2nd gear.
So, certainly nothing malicious as we listen to the team radio. It's just whether there was component failure or something.
Go.
So Rast and Van Der Linder are in. And this has just not worked for Kelvin Van Der Linder at all. Waiting to hear what Kelvin Van Der Linder was going to say about that. I suspect it was not broadcastable because he'll be very, very disappointed. René Rast able to vault him in the pit stop. Goodness me. The dramas continue with Rast now ahead of Kelvin Van Der Linder and Thomas Preining, of course, who was the very first, or one of the first group of three, the top three rather, to go in. And well, a very, very good strategy, I have to say, by ABD Sportsline for René. Perhaps less of a good strategy for ABD Sportsline with Kelvin Van Der Linder. Team ABD for René Rast and ABD Sportsline for Kelvin Van Der Linder, of course. And right in the middle of that lot is the KUS Team Bernard driver, Timo Bernard. So everything changes under this full course yellow as still further debris and various bits of DTM car are swept up from the track. There is René Rast, there is Thomas Preining, there is the number 55 car of Grenier, back marking relative to René Rast. And there, Thomas Preining, and then you can see Kelvin Van Der Linder. He's going to come under pressure from Dennis Olson, who looked really, really quick, and we already know the pace that Ayan Guven has got. Although he's not been able to show so much of it because we've had, you know, a couple of, we had the first safety car, of course, and now this full course yellow as well. There's Mauro Engel going through the turn, and just looking at that Lamborghini going through there to see if there's any flapping panel work at the bottom of it. We have lost the likes of Dylan Pereira, Frank Pereira, Esteban Moot, Felipe Fraga, Dev Gore, Sheldon Van Der Linder, Nico Muller, Arjun Maini, Marco Wittmann, Maxi Book, and David Schumacher as well. So quite a high attrition rate from the early stages of this DTM Race 1 of 2 this weekend. We're live for you from the fastest driver. He will want to right the wrongs as the cars now go side by side then. Ready to get the race restarted, and we're going to lose the full course yellow and go back to racing. Then the drivers being informed to go side by side, and it is a somewhat depleted grid. The DTM formation restart, it's one of the things we absolutely love about the DTM. Really drives the entertainment value, and of course for Kelvin Van Der Linder, he's really, really hoping that Thomas Preining will take the fight to René Rast to enable him to get even closer. So as the cars head towards the timing line and the lights go green, again Ricardo Feller just coming out of line, just to show his face. Kelvin Van Der Linder then right behind René Rast, and here comes Dennis Olson. I said he would be one to watch. Dennis Olson, it's a long way around the outside here, but he's got full confidence in the car. He has moved up to P3, or has he? Yes, I think he has. He closes the door, and Dennis Olson then on something of a charge here. Now, right alongside René Rast, but René Rast will have the perfect trajectory through the Cholereses. It's Preining leading from, as they all make their way out of the Cholereses now, from René Rast and Dennis Olson. And here comes Dennis Olson once again on the outside of René Rast, again a long way around here, but clearly he's very, oh my goodness me, that is Mauro Engel, I think, with big damage there. And the safety car is called for, and I think there may have been contact with Mirko Bortolotti, I don't know. But the non-beneficiary of that for sure is Mauro Engel, and we go back to a safety car again. Goodness me. The drama is heightened and intensified still further here at the Norisring. So the crews very quickly on the scene of that, and of course to check out Mauro Engel, first of all, one of the nicest guys in the DTM paddock. Super guy. He's perfectly okay, I'm sure, is the information that's being fed back to race control from the very quickly on the scene. There is Mauro Engel. He is out and he's perfectly okay. Let's hear from Verena.
Right, and now I'm here with Felipe Fraga, and Felipe is already, I mean, you're just very, yeah, the race ended, but also you're saying we just saw another accident there, and say your thoughts.
Yeah, like, I think it's terrible, you know, like, I think we should all sit together and revise this restart thing. For me, it's the third time already, you know, like we always there, we always fighting, and today I just braked in turn 1, I was already like P7, and then like when I go to the corner, I got a massive hit from behind from the BMW. I don't want to even mention names here, but it's just crazy. Like I don't even know if my car can make the race tomorrow because the axle is all the way to the front. It was massive hit, like even hurt my neck at the time. Like it's just unbelievable. Like this is terrible.
All right, well, Felipe, thank you very much for your honest words, and now back to you.
Thank you very much. So hearing from Felipe then, we could see Maro Engel, who's out of the car and he's perfectly okay. He will be checked over by the medical team just as a precaution, just as a precautionary measure. As I say, he's one of motor racing's nice guys, is Maro, as indeed all the DTM grid are. And Maro Engel then, well, as we were looking at some of the replays, Verena was doing great work there. It looked like Maro and Mirko, they just touched. And of course, at the speed you're doing at that point, and once you get spat out, you're going into the Armco. And the one thing we know about the Norisring and Armco and concrete is it's not very flexible. It doesn't move anywhere. And unfortunately, the cars are the crumple zone. Sad to say. Right. Well, you can see the crowd. So once again, various bits of DTM car are removed from the racing surface. We are under the control once again of the safety car, and time is ticking down. We are into the final 30 minutes of this DTM race, which really hasn't, barring a couple of periods, really got going almost. So drama aplenty here at the Norisring. So out, what a list it is. Maro Engel, Frank Pereira, Esteban Moot, Felipe Fraga, Dev Gore, Sheldon Van Der Linder, Nico Muller, Arjun Maini, Marco Wittmann, Maxi Boot, and David Schumacher. Looks like there's damage to the Armco barriers as well. And that is not necessarily going to be the work of a moment to repair. I mean, I have to say the track crew here are very, very quick indeed, and they do everything they can as quickly as they can to get everything back in order. But barriers and the integrity of the barriers has to be maintained, and therefore, if there is any damage to the barriers whatsoever, of course, it has to be looked at and has to be repaired. You can see various looks of anguish from many of the garages then. So much going on at the start of the race. And therefore, throughout the rest of the race as well. And there is one very, very disappointed Mr. Pereira out of the race. What a shame. Let's go back to Verena, who really is earning her money today.
I'm here with Dev Go now. Dev, what a crazy race. I mean, we've kind of predicted that a lot of action might be happening, but we've lost 11 cars, one of them being you. What do you say about this race?
Yeah, I mean, in Norisring, turn 1 is always a bit tricky, but today was a bit too much. I think it was a bit reckless from some people, but yeah, unfortunately, just a really strange day. Somehow I magically got a penalty, which had me starting behind 2 cars, which didn't even set a lap time in qualifying. So one was disqualified and the other one didn't even participate. So I'm not sure how that happens or what kind of a rule makes that work, but it's just something for the ITR to organize. But yeah, well, unfortunately, we had nearly a perfect start, but just about half a meter more clearance and it would have been a beautiful start. It would have been perfect, but when everybody bunched up in turn 1, I just caught the back of one of the Mercedes. But yeah, unfortunately, a bad day went worse.
Let's just hope that tomorrow is a better day. So better luck tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you. Back to you.
Good to hear from Dev Gore. The incident involving cars 6, 10 and 19 has been reported to the stewards. That, of course, the incident we saw with De Linder and also Esteban Moot and Frank Pereira. And what's left of Maro Engel's car has been put onto the low loader and will be taken back to the pit lane. Group M Racing have got a lot of work to do on that car as, once again, Verena finds out. Driver reactions for us.
Yes, and I'm here with Nico Muller, another one who didn't manage to end the race because it's just really a jungle out there. So Nico, from your point of view, I mean, can tomorrow be better, tight track?
Well, first we have to see if this is fixable, because yeah, I mean, the way that at the moment the driving standards we see out there is just ridiculous. I mean, you know, everybody should know by now that you don't win the race in the first corner, but it seems like it's happening all over again. Every time they see lights going out, they all go nuts. It's also the brains going out, I guess. So I don't know what to say. It's very frustrating. The car is completely damaged all around. I got pushed from behind after a great start in the middle of turn 1. They spun in front of me and I was completely pushed into that mess. So yeah, absolute jungle, like you said, and it just keeps on going like that, it seems. I don't know if we even have half the field still driving, so...
11 cars out.
Yeah, not really the show the fans that came out here numerously deserve, I think. Normally this is not bumper cars, this is car racing, but today we unfortunately proved differently.
Let's hope tomorrow is a better day. Thank you so much, Nico. Thank you. Back to you.
Well, quite understandably less than enthused Nico Müller about some of the conduct of some of the racing, and as he does rightly say, the race isn't won in the first corner. However, inevitably, with some 27 cars all going into that funnel, which is turn number 1, it's not like that was the only incident, though, because there have been further incidents as well, of course, which have taken more cars, regrettably, out of the race. So some fluid absorbent material is laid down onto the track then to try and put the track into as best a condition as we can to go back racing again, bearing in mind these are public roads that we use here at the Norisring. Just once a year they become this racing circuit, which I have to say always delivers the high level of entertainment, drama and racing that we expect, and certainly it has done that today, for good or bad, whichever way you look at it. I can't say there hasn't been a lot happening. The order behind the safety car is Thomas Preining, René Rast and Dennis Olson, the top 3, as we go back once again to Verena now.
And I've got Arjun Maini here. What a crazy race. I mean, there's not much to say, but unluckily, you also ended the race very early. So what's your point of view from the race?
Yeah, I mean, I had a good start. I was already up to second or third, I think, by the time turn 1. And I left a lot of room because I know that it's quite tight, and I still got hit from behind. And I looked at the replay, and I mean, it looks quite bad. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, and I don't know, it's a street circuit and this happens, but yeah, it looks like I went in to get changed, came out, and the race was completely different again. So it's been a crazy race, a tough one for me, but yeah, it's racing sometimes.
But the car will be okay by tomorrow, you think?
Yeah, it should be fine.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's hope tomorrow is a better day. Thank you, Arjun. Back to you.
Well, very positive words from Arjun Maini, who did do a fantastic job right at the start of the race. As the cars line up side by side once again, the safety car is going to come in at the conclusion of this lap. So it's another opportunity for René Rast perhaps to wrestle away the lead from Thomas Preining, maybe, or even for Dennis Olson and Sheldon Van Der Linder to come back again. Because we love the formation restart from the DTM as the cars go side by side. By my reckoning, and I'm not very clever, I think it's the 3rd time of asking of trying to get this race underway. So, as the cars head towards the line then, and await the lights to go green so that we can go racing once again. Let's do it. And René Rast then being bogged down just a little bit, and Dennis Olson with, and he makes contact on the René Rast car. So Thomas Preining trying to get up the road. Dennis Olson will try and get to the inside now, and is that Ricardo Feller, who's making a fantastic pitch for this as well, and almost puts himself up into P3. He's got René Rast right alongside him. And great driving from Ricardo Feller, and an unbelievable drive from Mirko Bortolotti, who's just been able to take advantage of everything as we see contact once again through the Scholler-Esses. This time it's Lucas Auer that is the victim, with the front of his car ripped off. You know what that means, and I don't want to say it to you, and it's not the only incident as well on this really tight circuit. Well, collisions and contact being made everywhere, and that's done for the number 63 car of Mirko Bortolotti, who had done such a good job in overtaking. The safety car is going to come out once again. My goodness me. While all this is going on, can I tell you, the clock continues to count down, and we are now into just 21 minutes of the race remaining, plus a lap. And Lugi Auer, unfortunately, is out. And Lucas Auer then the car severely damaged, and yeah, that's another safety car. So the Lugiao car will be recovered as quickly as possible. Let's have a look at the replay here. So Bortolotti was really on it. So too really on it was Dennis Olson. Well, unfortunately, diving to the inside was Ayan Guven, and it was a daredevil move going to the inside, making contact with the Lucas Auer car. And, well, it looks like Ayan has got away virtually unscathed, but the same cannot be said of Lucas Auer. And that wasn't the only incident, as we could see there from being on board. I think it was with Maxi Goertz. Here's Mirko Bortolotti then. Dive to the inside. And Sheldon Van Der Linder just getting sideswiped there by Mirko Bortolotti. His race has gone from bad to worse, and there you can see the damage on the number 63 car of Mirko Bortolotti for GRT with... there's going to be some very, very busy engineers tonight. And you can see the absolute looks of consternation across the pit walls, and Bernd Schneider looking on as well. And I have to say, this has been a extraordinarily hard race as we see Mirko Bortolotti. Well, somehow they have been able to weave the magic on the number 63 car and get it back out again. We just saw Bernd Schneider. Let's hear from him now. He's with Verena.
This is going to be very interesting. We've got Mr. DTM here, Bernd Schneider. And Bernd, can you just give us your point of view? I mean, this is such a crazy race, such a jungle. We've lost, I think, 11 cars. What's going on there? And what's your perspective, your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, Norisring is always a very special race and many things can happen. But I thought that the drivers get a bit more respect, especially in the first race, because there's another race tomorrow. And if you see how many cars retired already with heavy accidents, this is not what the people like to say. And I guess that the race director have to talk to them. This is not, I like action, I like light contacts. And this is also what the people are here for. But if they're crashing just in each other, this is not more racing. This is auto scooter, and they should really get hard punished, because that's the only way to get the respect back. Because, yeah, as I said, I don't know how many cars we will see tomorrow in the grid, because there was heavy damages, the shells of the cars are damaged. That means you can't repair the cars for tomorrow. And I think the people are coming here for tomorrow, they want to see the cars. It will be interesting to see what the race director are going to decide.
But obviously, I mean, a lot of the drivers are angry because, as you were saying, it's like scooter driving. But, I mean, they're all motivated. Everybody wants to gain points, no question. But they're all experts. I mean, such a high level of expertise here. How do you explain that?
Yeah, it's also, you know, as I said before, Norisring is special. There are no one-offs. That means if something went wrong, there's a chain that everybody runs into, like the start. I mean, this was a silly accident. Can happen, even if you are a professional racing driver. But all the others accidents we saw afterwards, you could avoid them. And this disappoints myself, because I also thought these are experts. And if you're not finished the race, if you're not scoring points, you can't win the championship. And I don't know what this driver did think.
Right, well, Bernd, thank you so much. And now here's a restart, yet another one. Thank you very much, Bernd Schneider. Back to you.
So Bernd Schneider then, Mr. DTM, giving us his view and talking very, very wise words indeed. Keep your eyes on the number 94 car of Dennis Olson. He has looked lively as we go for this restart once again. And I think Dennis Olson is going to be the man to chase down here. Ricardo Feller's looking good, but Thomas Breining doing a very good job at the restart and protects that inside line. I don't think Dennis Olson has quite got the legs, or has he? Now, what of course Thomas Breining needs not to do now is get some contact from somebody at the rear. René Rast just makes the car a little bit wide and almost loses out, but he maintains that P2 position. So we go on board with René Rast now, chasing down Thomas Breining. Laurens Vanthoor is up to P3 in the other SSR Performance Porsche, relegating Dennis Olson to P4. So here is Thomas Breining leading the race from René Rast. And don't worry about the smoke, that's just going over the absorbent material. Now diving to the inside there, going into this turn, as Ricardo Fella is just losing out to Maxi Goertz, then the reigning DTM champion, who I have to say has just been able to pick off car after car after car, not necessarily by overtaking, but just by being out there on track and keeping out of trouble because we've lost so many of the cars. So Maxi Goertz up to P5 now. Thomas Preining leading from René Rast and Dennis Olson and Lawrence Vantor. Ahead of Maxi Goertz, then it is Ricardo Fella, who's also looked really, really lively, but was just not able to capitalize on that safety car restart. And these are the remaining cars, and various cars with still some damage on them as well. So Preining P1, Rast P2, then it's Olson, Vantor, Goertz, Fella, Eng, Stolz, Grenier, Schmidt, Delada, Zug, and Van Der Linder. So as Bernd Schneider was saying then, the race director, well, as we can see here, diving to the inside is Marius Zug of the number 6 car of Alessio Deleda. The race director is going to have an awful lot of notes from this race. Well, of course, all these incidents will be investigated, but it's going to take some time, that's for sure. So we are down to 14 cars from a field which contained 27 at the start of the race. Such has been the rate of attrition. I can tell you that we're going to change the race distance. It's going to become 55 minutes plus 3 laps, according to the information that I am given, and Verena might know more about that. She is in the pit lane working really hard.
Let's find out what happened with you, Chan. I just saw you inside with your team, very emotional. What exactly happened?
Yeah, every restart I lose the position to backwards. Yeah, I just try to be nice and clean in the turn 1, and every time I lose position because the inside line is just slow, but I think this is logic in the track. So yeah, I just can manage to get a good turn 1s, and then the last one in the last start, just I don't know what happened. Maybe in the hairpin by mistake I put the wrong button, but my car just stopped in 80 km like full course yellow, and then when you stop in the middle of the grid, people behind you going to hit you, and I have rear damage. Yeah, super disappointed. Sorry for the team, but yeah, good experience for me. I will check what happened today. I try to learn, and tomorrow I want to come back stronger.
All right, very optimistic. Thank you very much, Sean. Best of luck for tomorrow. Back to you.
And very humble as well, if I may say. Mr. Guben saying he wants to come back stronger and better than tomorrow. René Rast appears to be really losing pace here relative to Thomas Preining, and he's under a real threat now from Dennis Olson. Thomas Preining has put 1.62 seconds between himself and René Rast, and here comes Dennis Olson trying to get underneath now the René Rast car, but he needs to put himself right in front of the René Rast car as they go into the Scholler S's. And Dennis Olson, if he can maintain this momentum, this is going to give him a potential opportunity here. René Rast, I think he's got damage to the back end of the car, and that might be what is causing his pace to drop away. Now, Dennis Olson obviously managed to get by Lawrence Vantor. So Dennis Olson trying to find a way by, and thus far has not been able to do so as he touches René Rast, and René Rast gets nerfed just a little bit, but he holds on to it at the moment. The two SSR performance cars right behind now, Dennis Olson and also Lawrence Vantor, and René Rast is steadfast and trying to take advantage of it all is Maxi Goertz, ready like a viper to pounce as it all goes and lights up ahead of him. So is Maxi Goertz or Ricardo Fella going to be the big beneficiary of this fight that's going on? It is a 3, 4, 5-way fight for P2 at the moment. And of course, it's all playing nicely into the hands of Thomas Preining, who's up the road. So there's René Rast. There is Lawrence Vantor, who's now ahead of Dennis Olson. Two cars are absolutely identical in livery. Of course, they're teammates as well, but they're fighting like crazy out there on track. And of course, there's a queue of cars behind as well. For the moment, René Rast has been able to take advantage of the fact that the two SSR performance drivers are fighting among themselves as Dennis Olson now puts himself ahead of Lawrence Vantor. We're on board with Maxi Goertz, who is chasing down Lawrence Vantor. So Maxi Goertz sitting in P5. Of course, the last time he raced here at the Norisring, it was hugely successful for Maxi Goertz. It's when he won the championship, so he has fond memories of this place. And of course, if he could get a podium out of this, he would be absolutely delighted, and it's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility. 11.5 minutes plus 3 laps to come from this DTM race 1 of 2 this weekend. It has been something of a challenging race for all the drivers except Thomas Preining. who has, well, he's put 3.2 seconds between himself and René Rast now. And they're queuing up behind René Rast to try and have a go here. And whether they will be able to or not, only time will tell. Preining, Rast, Olson, Vanthoor, then it's Gertz, and then it's Ricardo Feller and Philipp Eng. Philipp Eng doing a very, very good overtake there on Ricardo Feller. It was on pure pace. Philipp Eng just got a perfect trajectory out of the final turn and is able to put himself ahead of Ricardo Feller, who now tries to fight back. But Philipp Eng right royally closes the door and says, "No thanks, friend. I'm coming through." Has gone through. The black and white flag has been shown to car number 84. And that's with regards to, that's number 94 actually, Dennis Olson. So that is just a warning flag at the moment. So Thomas Preining for KUS Team Bernhard then leading this race ahead of René Rast with, if I'm tempted to say, what's left of his car. I mean, he's probably driving a less than optimized car at the moment. Well, there you can see that is how hard the hit was on René Rast. And I have to say, Dennis was very, very keen to get by, but, and we're on board with René Rast now, how he is able to nurse this car and maintain that P2 position is some testament to just what a great driver René Rast is. And that's how he had to control it with opposite lock. That was all of the opposite lock, and Hans-Jürgen Abt and Thomas Biermeier looking on as well. Almost cannot believe it. I have to say congratulations to the Abt team for their really rather funky shirts. I think they're really good. Right, there is René Rast running in P2, and Thomas Preining, of course, he's leading. It's Preining, Rast, Olson, then it is Lorenz Vanthoor and Maxi Gertz. That's the way it looks. We're into the final 10 minutes plus 3 laps. And René Rast now has to hold on to this inside line. You can see what Lorenz Vanthoor is trying to do, and that's just get underneath the René Rast car, the number 94 car of Dennis Olson. It is, rather than Lorenz Vanthoor. Of course, he is running behind in P4. So Dennis Olson then absolutely going for it. I've known Dennis Olson as a racing driver since his junior days, and well, you can see each and every car that is still out there on track is wearing some battle scars of some description. Such has been the physicality of this race. So Rast and various bits flapping on the front of Dennis Olson's car. So around the turn they go then. What have we got? 11 cars left running, because Kelvin Van Der Linder and Delado have gone into the pit lane, as you can see from the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen. Meantime, this is Philipp Eng, who's being chased by the car that we're on board with now, the current DTM champion, Mara. That is Maxi Gertz. So Maxi Gertz then chasing down Philipp Eng, and Ricardo Feller right behind Ricardo Feller is Lucas Stolz, and there we can see yet another bit of DTM race car that's been cast aside, which is not in an ideal position, frankly. So Rast then, how he is able to defend this P2 place is remarkable, in my opinion. Absolutely remarkable. And this is Maxi Gertz and Philipp Eng getting really rather physical and getting together, but dare I say it, it's one of the better moves and less physical moves that we've seen all day. Well, whether that impacted things, because Maxi Gertz running over some debris as well. There you can see it being cast aside from the Philipp Eng car. Oh, wouldn't there be a time to be in panel repairs? I think today would be the day for it. 7 minutes plus 3 laps to come. So Thomas Preining now extends his lead to just under 4 seconds now. And here are the gaps then, as you can see in the graphics below us, with Thomas Preining and René Rast being indicated there by those time gaps, and how they have increased, decreased, and what has happened to them. And there is Thomas Preining. Meantime, René Rast and Dennis Olson continue, and they've broken away actually from Lorenz Vanthoor and then Philipp Eng and the rest of the pack as well. But René Rast is still under threat potentially from Dennis Olson, but for the moment he's able to hold it all in abeyance as we see the number 85 car of Clemens Schmidt, and then the number 66 car of Marius Zug, and there is a very, very disappointed Kelvin Van Der Linder in the garage then, having retired his car. Started, of course, on pole position. It just went from bad to worse for Kelvin Van Der Linder here at the Norisring this weekend. For Thomas Preining, for KUS Team Bernhard. And now, what's happened to, as I look on my timing screen, it looks like René Rast has dropped down the order. And I didn't see that. No, that was just a glitch, thankfully, in the transponder that sends the signal from this car to our computers. Thankfully, René Rast is still there and running in P2, still being chased by Dennis Olson. And you can see various officials from the pit wall who have taken a look at the racing and making their way back into the garages, and a bit of a discussion going on there between teams. There's plenty of discussion topics, I would have thought. All's well that ends well, it seems, in that particular conversation. I'm not sure all the conversations are going to be quite as conciliatory as that one was. Thomas Preining sets the fastest lap then, as Dennis Olson continues to pursue René Rast for the P2 place. So just under 5 minutes remaining, plus 3 laps of this DTM Race 1 of 2 across the weekend. Here is our race leader for KUS Team Bernhard. That is Thomas Preining. Philipp Eng now really fancying his chances for P4 and is pushing Laurens Vanthoor. And Kelvin Van Der Linder, as I was saying, going to be hugely disappointed. Verena is with him now.
What a huge shame, Kelvin, coming from pole position and now just before the end of the race, having to end the race. Why? What happened?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of chaotic restarts, to be honest, and by the end we had so much damage on the car, it just made no sense to carry on, to be honest. So very bitter day, to be honest.
So obviously hugely devastated, but then for tomorrow, I mean, just putting all the optimism together.
Yeah, we put it back in. I mean, we had a good car here. The team did a great job, so we see if we can go up the front tomorrow in qualifying, try again, but definitely very bitter day.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Well done for getting hold of Kelvin then. So Rast and Olson then continuing their fight, as too are Vanthoor and Philipp Eng. And with 3.5 minutes, so Philipp Eng now takes to the outside of Laurens Vanthoor. Vanthoor perhaps a little deeper into the turn. Does that allow Philipp Eng to get alongside? Not quite. Good effort from Philipp Eng, who's flashing his lights furiously, trying to get Laurens Vanthoor to lose concentration just for a moment, but hasn't happened so far. But that is one of the closest battles that is on track at the moment with the 11 cars that we have remaining. So Rast ahead of Olson then, and it stays that way. And Dennis Olson running in P3. Here's the P4 driver, Laurens Vanthoor, ahead of Philipp Eng, who's running in P5. Maxi Gertz is P6. Then it's Ricardo Feller. Then we see Lucas Stoltz. Then it's Grenier Schmidt and Marius Zug. And again, Olson just trying a completely different line through that turn, but it wasn't a line that was going to work for him. Well, thankfully, in some of the garages, as we can see, head of Porsche Motorsport, Thomas Laudenbach, is enjoying this because, of course, his brand is right at the front, leading the race with this young man, Thomas Preining. Then another driver like Dennis Olson, rather, who I can remember commentating on as a real junior driver, and quite clearly exceptionally talented and leading this race, which by my reckoning we've probably got 6 more laps to run when we include the additional 3-lap race distance. So one of the cars being reported to the stewards then for an unsafe release. I think that's car number 7, which will be Ricardo Feller. And you can also see that, mind you, this was A while earlier on, a time penalty was given to car number 63, which is completely academic. That's the Mirko Bortolotti car. It's parked up in the garage anyway, so sorry. I've just had so much to look at in terms of, we have 5 screens here in the comm studio. It's actually not enough today because there has been so much going on. So the number 4 car of Lucas Olson chasing down Ricardo Feller. Ricardo Feller running in P7. And here comes Lucas Stolz then, just taking a look, but it's a long way around the outside. Ricardo Feller, as is his right, sticks his elbows out and makes the car a bit wider than actually it is. I'm talking metaphorically, of course, but it is the psychological effect it has, and that denies Lucas Stolz from being able to take any advantage of that. There is the Ricardo Feller Audi. There is Lucas Stolz, who gets a very good exit. Ricardo Feller just glancing the Armco. And now whether that has just unsettled Ricardo Feller. And now if Lucas Stolz can get right alongside, which he does. Now this is going to be very interesting indeed. But Stolz, he does. He's able to close the door on Ricardo Feller. So that was a good move. Ricardo Feller just gives him a little love tap, I think, to the back end of the car. But I think Stolz has probably done enough here. So it is a change of P7, which now goes the way of Lucas Stolz ahead of Ricardo Feller, who's relegated to P8. So Preining leading by 3.23 seconds. We're into the additional laps that have been levied at the end of this race. Let's have a look at this replay. It was very, very close between the two of them. But actually, as fair as many of the overtakes have been today, there was just a little tap. That's almost inevitable, I suppose, when you're running that fast and that close. I'm trying to be charitable here. But it got the overtake done, didn't it? So it is Thomas Preining with 3 laps left to go, who is leading this race. Preining ahead of Rast and ahead of Olson. This is all, of course, subject to anything that the race director will look at come the end of the race. And trust me, he has got a lot to look at. I'm sure you'd agree with me on that. You've been the beneficiary of enjoying what has been a hugely a dramatic race. Philip Eng then in the number 25 Schubert Motorsport car running in P5. And right, final knockings. This is the last opportunity for potentially Dennis Olson with 2 laps left to go to try and get ahead of René Rast and convert his P3 into P2. So takes a look. I mean, René Rast, how he's been able to nurse this car is remarkable to me, and is some merit with regards to his undoubted racing talent. There's no question about that. René, another one of those drivers I can remember first commentating about René Rast. I think it was in the VW Polo Cup, which was very nearly 100 years ago. I'm being a disservice to you, René, as Olson now, well, he did get a better trajectory out, and he puts himself ahead of René Rast with the last lap. So René is undoubtedly going to try and come back at Dennis Olson, but I think Olson set that up perfectly, and he knew exactly what lap to do it on, if I'm honest with you, knowing that René is not going to be able to come at him. So it's Preining from Olson from René Rast, and we're on board with René Rast now. But for Thomas Preining, for KUS Team Bernhard, as he heads towards making some history here at the Norisring, because... and I haven't got my encyclopedia in front of me, but having been associated with the DTM for as many years as I have, I believe as Thomas Preining heads towards the checkered flag and wins, it's the first ever DTM race win for Porsche. KUS Team Bernhard and Thomas Preining ahead of Dennis Olson and René Rast. Well, the spectators applaud. I think they're applauding the drivers for staying the distance, truthfully. Some of the racecraft might be questioned, perhaps, but of course, delight for KUS team Bernhard, delight for SSR Performance, and Team Abt looking, well, perhaps satisfied with the P3, and an awful lot of work for their engineers ahead of them this evening, and a lot of work for a lot of the DTM race engineers from the various teams this evening. But for Thomas Preining, let's take nothing away from it. I mean, he was very, very quick in qualifying, and he was only bested by a couple of tenths by Kelvin van der Linder from pole position. So we knew that Thomas was going to be a force to be reckoned with this weekend, and he has proved that, done very, very well indeed. And he brings the car back into the pit lane, and the Auto Hero fastest lap goes to Thomas Preining. Fastest lap of the race, a 49.618. His quali pace was 49.252. I mean, to be able to deliver a 49.618 in the race is really, really remarkable. Well done, Thomas. Great race win from Dennis Olson, Rennie Rast, and then Lawrence Vantor. So the cars are parked up, and there you can see Mr. Bernhard, Timo, really, really well. I mean, it's a big, big moment for Timo Bernhard, for Porsche, and for the KUS team in total to be able to take the first ever win in history in DTM for Porsche. So Thomas Preining gets out of the car. And of course, lots and lots of media around, and Dennis Olson has congratulated those two. Raced together across those junior series, as I was waxing lyrical about my own history with these drivers, and the delight in the Bernhard garage is continuing to be seen. Right, here is the provisional result. Thomas Preining from Dennis Olson, Rennie Rast, Lawrence Vantor, Philipp Eng, Maxi Goertz, Lucas Stolz, Ricardo Feller. Then it was Grenier and Schmidt ahead of Marius Zug. And then a very long list of DNFs, I'm afraid to say, which included De Leder, Van der Linder, Guven, Bortolotti, Auer, Engel, Pereira, Moot, Fraga, to name but a few. We can add to that list, I'm afraid. But we choose not to. There is Rene. Well, he has done the Abt team proud in terms of bringing that car home. And there is Dennis Olson. Spectacles will go on. And in replay here, that's how Dennis Olson did it. To be fair, it was one of the fairer overtakes I think I've seen in that race, because Rene just ran deep. Just couldn't get, the car was sliding. I mean, at this point in the race, I mean, you know, he's virtually running on rims, isn't he? So hard as the rubber being punished, and well, Dennis didn't need to really push Rene too hard to be able to go through. And well, there we have it. All the spectators here at the Norisring then, having seen an extraordinary, and I have to say, in my history of the DTM, and bearing in mind I'm only here for Chris Hartley this weekend, it's one of the more dramatic DTM races I have ever seen. Thomas Preining there. The sheer look of joy and delight for Thomas Preining, who takes victory. The drivers are making their way up to the podium now, and the camaraderie between the drivers is very, very good to see. There's a lot to discuss, isn't there? And Thomas Preining and Dennis Olson and Rennie Rast are having those discussions as we speak. Right, in terms of championship points, Sheldon Van Der Linder still leading on 80, Mirko Bortolotti on 68. Rennie Rast now on 64, ahead of Nico Muller on 62, then it's Lucas Auer, and then Ricardo Feller. Oh, look at this. language translator here in the commentary studio. It's not only the voice, you know, it's the writing that's not very good. So René Rast is on his step. Dennis Olson is on his step on the podium. Here comes the race winner. First ever race win for Porsche in DTM. Big it up for Thomas Preining. National anthem time. So the anthem plays out, and the baseball caps go on. And there he is, Timo Bernhard. How thrilled will he be? And of course, it's all down to these guys in the team as well. Trophy presentations, and what absolutely magnificent trophies for P3. Felix Magath, then football official, making the trophy presentation to René. And Bruno Spengler is here making the trophy presentation to Dennis Olson for P2. And Bruno, of course, racing in the DTM Classics this weekend. Never had you down as a veteran, Bruno. And now, this is going to be a very exciting moment on the podium. So Prince Leopold then makes the trophy presentation to Timo Bernhard. First ever win for Porsche in DTM. Here's Christina Vogel, former track cyclist and ambassador of Wings for Life, making the trophy presentation to Thomas Preining. He is thrilled, and quite rightly too. So all the drivers then upright and upstanding for the media photographs, and then they all get together. So there they are then to the front of the podium gallery then, so that everyone can salute, applaud, and say many congratulations. And it's going to be loud and lively on the podium then, as the champagne shower erupts. And after that race, that's just desserts, I have to say, for everyone that's on the podium. And Timo, you really do deserve that. And of course, Thomas as well. We hope we'll catch up with some of the top three, and maybe even Timo Bernhard as well. We'll see what time we have available to us, because, of course, there we can see super slow-mo for the Thomas Preining car. Well, not so slow, but as he takes the checkered flag, that will be something that will go down into the history books of the DTM, as well as Thomas Preining's personal collection of memories, of which he has many. And Timo Bernhard then on the pit perch, I should say, really, really enjoying that moment. Of course, they would have, for many, many laps, been hoping that that would be the case. Here's Verena for us now.
So I'm here with René Rast, and just looking at your face, I mean, what a crazy race. And I guess for some reason it was today mainly to survive this race, and you even managed from P5 to P3, so it almost feels like victory, am I right?
Yeah, it looks like surviving was the key. I think I've done 400 or 500 races in my career, but something like that I've never experienced, so many safety cars and chaos and contacts, so I'm speechless. Obviously, I'm happy with P3. I had a slow puncture the whole race, so I just had to survive because my tire pressure got lower and lower every lap. So I was just happy to keep it in the points and to finish on the podium.
But looking at tomorrow, I mean, obviously this was crazy. We lost, I think, 13 or 14 cars. It was absolutely crazy. So looking at tomorrow, I mean, what are you guys going to do differently?
Hopefully a bit better, cleaner racing, because today was a lot of rubbing and racing. But yeah, I think that's what we want to see, especially the fans, the spectators. They want action. I think they got a lot of action today, but it's probably too expensive for the teams to survive that the whole season.
Absolutely. So let's not repeat that. But congratulations to your third place. We're going to try to grab Dennis Olson, who's right there. And so here's a man. Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, it was a really spectacular, crazy race, and you managed to get up on the podium, so you've got to be absolutely thrilled, especially because in the last minutes you still managed to overtake René.
Yeah, well, it seemed like he had a slow puncture in the second last lap, so therefore, for sure, I took the chance immediately when I saw it coming and just went for it. It was very intense the whole race. I started 9th and trying to move forward, you know, but when I was behind René, it was really difficult. He's a legend here in DTM, and you know, he's super experienced, and therefore, me as a rookie here, it's pretty difficult.
And being here as a rookie, as you mentioned it, I mean, you've probably heard about the DTM being very tight, being very tough, but experiencing a race like this, is this what you ever expected it could be this crazy?
To be honest, no, and it started already in qualifying where I was 1.5 tenths off, but I was 6th in my group, then moved up to 5th, but you know, it's incredible tight, and you know, then finally finishing on the podium after this crazy race, I think it was spectacular, and I really hope the fans liked it.
Yeah, all right, well, thank you so much, and looking forward to tomorrow.
Thank you.
And here's your commentator.
Very interesting to hear from Dennis Olson then, and of course now the answers to the plot are explained a little bit. As René said, a slow puncture, of course, that offered the opportunity to Dennis Olson to get that P2 place, as he says, and paying due credit to René, one of the most experienced DTM drivers, to control that car and to bring that car home in P3 when he had a slow puncture alone is remarkable. So well done to all the drivers that we've seen on the podium: Thomas Preining, Dennis Olson and René Rast. I should also say well done to Laurens Vanthoor and Philipp Eng, and Maxi Goertz and Lucas Stolz and Ricardo Feller and Grenier, Schmidt and Zug as well for finishing the race and bringing the cars home after what was one of the most challenging races in DTM for drivers, for engineers, but of course for us from a drama point of view. And you can just see, look, the panel work on the René Rast car loose there as we take a look at some of the replays, but this is the replay that Thomas Preining will want to relive time and time and time again as he crossed underneath the checkered flag and took the win, the first win ever in DTM for Porsche. Thomas Preining for KUS Team Bernhard looked pretty happy, didn't he? And rightly so. So Thomas Preining ahead of Dennis Olson and René Rast. The one thing we do know about the DTM, though, is you can take the form guide from day one. Doesn't necessarily give you a form guide for day two. Of course, the drivers have all got to qualify again tomorrow, ready to race again tomorrow. In the team standings, Schubert Motorsport are leading on 111 points. Then it's Abt Sportsline on 81, Team Rosberg on 80. Then it's GRT on 67, Team Abt on 64, Mercedes AMG Team Winward are P6 at the moment in the team standings on 60 points. So there we have it. We're going to go back to Verena now as I say thanks very much and goodbye from the commentary position. Here's Verena.
And now we're here with Thomas Preining. What an incredible race for you. It's the first Porsche victory here in the DTM, and it was a jungle out there, but you just did your thing and you managed to bring home the victory for Porsche at the Norisring. So how excited are you?
Yeah, I cannot even start to describe how it feels. I'm so happy, I'm so proud of everyone. We really had to earn it, not only on track today, but the rest of the season too, and it's just a massive relief, and we're extremely proud and happy.
I bet you are, but when you hear all about the safety cars and doing restarts and everything, what's going on in your head? And obviously you just having victory in your head.
Yeah, honestly, the race was a complete mess from start to finish. There was so many heavy accidents. I don't know anything. I hope everybody's okay, because some looked quite bad, and I'm just happy that we could always stay out of trouble and that we managed to actually make good use of the restarts. And obviously gained the positions that brought us the win, the victory, and I don't know what to say. I'm super happy.
You did a superb job. Thank you so much, Thomas. And of course, now we're looking forward to tomorrow's race, and I hope you guys are too. So here are the highlights of today's race. Do enjoy, and we'll see you tomorrow here at the Norisring.
Mit Auto kommt, so wirklich